Welcome to Black Mirror of Art. Today we are going to be analyzing, exploring the background colors for the Minor Arcana. We're going to go through all 14 cards of each suit. Each suit will have a column. And I'm going to look at the background colors of each card and color in the cell. For example, for the Ace of Wands, color in the cell using a crayon. We're going to be doing a form of art analysis called reduction, where the background colors will be reduced to the 8 basic colors. And I'll have to include a gray crayon to the 8 to make 9, actually, because they don't have gray in the 8 here. So for example, if we take the Ace of Wands here, we can see that the overall background color is gray. And so I would color in the first cell gray, and then do this for all the other backgrounds so that we can see the color sequence for each suit and for each suit in turn. And so we have, in effect, a color map of the Minor Arcana in the Rider-Waite deck. Well, the results were not quite what I expected. Right off the bat, I encountered a problem, starting with the Ace of Wands. The background of the Ace and the 2, at first I thought were gray, but not quite. They had almost like a violet or near purple cast to it. So when I examined it further, I began to realize it was kind of like a warm gray. And then I found out about the color mauve. Essentially, I was realizing that it was a combination of gray, just a second here, grabbing up the crayons. It was a combination of gray and red. And so we were getting that kind of combination. So at first I thought we were dealing with black, white, and red. And then I found out that mauve is actually a mixture of blue, red, and white. So it is a tint. In other words, it is a color with white added. So we've got a combination of blue, which is divine love, red, which is the passions, white for purity, and the result is mauve. I personally think this is Waite's reference to as essentially Christ the Redeemer. Waite was what was called a Martinist, which is a form of mystical Christianity. Otherwise, I was finding, just a second, getting crayons under control here, I was finding that we had yellow and blue playing an otherwise predominant part with some blacks. My initial thinking was that we would see kind of like a color sequence that would give us further insight into the suit. But that's not necessarily happening here. Oh, excuse me a second. The gray with the red dot marks it as mauve. So I wasn't able to reduce this to a basic color, which I found very interesting, not at all what I expected. So we have essentially yellow, blue, the mauve, but they don't seem to be in a sequence, so we're not going from like lighter to darker, but instead we are shifting phases depending upon the significance or meaning of the card. So wasn't able quite to find a clear-cut pattern or progression, but instead we have kind of like a tapestry of different meanings. The color reflects the meaning of the card, or the purpose of the card. But, well, essentially this didn't quite work the way I had planned, but nevertheless I discovered some very, very interesting things, such as this mauve color, about the Minor Arcana, especially as delineated by Pamela Colman Smith.